Hey, welcome to our Discover Strength Facebook Live. It's Tuesday, August 27th. We want to talk a little bit about body composition improvement. I'm Luke Carlson. I'm the CEO of Discover Strength. We're going to answer some of your questions, and we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into some of maybe the misnomers around improving body composition. So let's kick off with some questions. Hannah, do you want to read those questions to me?
Yeah, so the first question that we have is from Ty, and he asks, what are some of the top individual foods, not supplements, that your trainers have found most personally useful for improving body composition? So before Luke answers this question, I just want to remind everybody that they can leave comments on this video, and we'll try to get to them during this segment. Otherwise, we'll get to it during the next Ask the Expert. So why don't you go ahead and answer that question, Luke?
Ty, thanks for that question. So just to clarify the question a little bit, there is no one particular food that's going to improve body composition. So body composition is the measure of how much lean muscle tissue we have, or lean tissue we have, versus how much fat tissue we have. And the way that we improve our body composition is by adding more lean tissue. We do that by strength training while consuming enough protein so that we can actually increase our lean muscle tissue. And it's all about by decreasing our overall caloric intake, creating a caloric deficit. So there's no one food that's the magic food, but maybe what you're really getting at, and maybe that was just semantics, is what are some foods that our staff love to consume, not supplements, our staff love to consume as a way to make sure they're getting enough protein in their diets. So I sent a message out to a number of our trainers, and here's some of the foods that they recommended. David Geschneidner said cottage cheese. Alex at Chanhassen loves Think Thin bars. Brandon Yonker said, and I'm not sure if he's kidding, he's at home with his brand new baby. He hasn't been working for at least a week, so I don't know if he's thinking clearly. He said a porterhouse steak or a lamb shank. Andy loves, how do you say this? Oikos, Greek yogurt.
Yeah, it's the one with John Stamos.
Sure. Well, obviously. Okay, that's why Andy loves it. Xavier loves Greek yogurt. Corey loves Greek yogurt and loves throwing some granola in there. Now, this gets into maybe a little bit of a supplement, but every morning Alex will have oatmeal with a powdered peanut butter protein in it. One of our concierge, Brooklyn, she couldn't help but add that she loves Starkist Tuna Creations. Now, Maria, one of our newest trainers in Chanhassen, she's all about the hard-boiled eggs, peanut butter, and salmon. Hannah's into Quest bars. Chris Anderson, I think he's joking, says chicken wings and more broadly fried chicken of any kind. He says he has fried chicken at least 3 meals out of the week. Taylor says homemade peanut butter banana protein shake, snacks of beef jerky, and the brand Barrio, if I'm saying that right, protein pasta. Am I saying that right, Hannah?
Barrio.
Okay, my Italian accent is not up to speed. And my goodness, Jack says that he loves steak and eggs and egg whites. And oh my goodness, he loves muscle egg. And he loves Jack's homemade mass gainer, of course, and you do not want the recipe for that. Kelsey's into Cliff Builder and Pro Bars, hard-boiled eggs, chicken salad, turkey sticks. Myself, I have a muscle milk every single day. Ty, I don't know if you want to call that a supplement or not. In my entire life, I've never consumed a single supplement. I would just say it's a beverage that has 25 grams of protein in it. So those are some of the snacks that our staff use as go-to snacks. In addition, meals. Myself, I have a protein drink, a muscle milk, every single day. And then I also have, for essentially every single dinner, I have either salmon, chicken, and once in a blue moon, I'll have a filet or I'll have some type of lean steak. Now, I want to move from there and talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do to maximize our body composition as a whole. Because I still think as exercisers, oftentimes we're pointed just in the wrong direction. All right, so what does it take to actually improve our body composition? How can we break away from the myths and misconceptions that are out there? So one of the biggest misconceptions, and it's strange coming from me that I say this, is the idea that doing cardio helps a human improve their body composition. Now, full disclosure, I'm in love with cardio. I'm training for the New York City Marathon right now. I'm always training for a marathon. I just love everything about cardio. And those of you who know me, like, I never miss my cardio. But I'm also very, very familiar with what the research says about cardio and body composition. And it is this: we have never seen humans perform cardio in laboratory conditions and then lose weight or lose fat, or more specifically, end up burning more calories at the end of the day than people who don't do cardio. When we do an hour of really focused cardio, kick butt cardio, something called our EEPA, our energy expenditure due to physical activity. So the rest of the calories that we expend the other 23 hours of the day tends to go down after we've done an hour of planned intense cardio. So we burn a lot of calories during that 1 hour of cardio. We just find a way to conserve our caloric expenditure the rest of the day. So in studies, people that do that hour of cardio versus people that do no cardio whatsoever, by the end of the day, they've expended the same number of calories. All right, now, most people, I mean, everyone that I've ever come across that goes to a gym is doing cardio to lose fat, to lose weight, to burn more calories. And we just know that's not possible. Now, does that mean cardio's bad? Of course not. Cardio is great. Cardio is just better for improving our cardiovascular function, mitigating cardiovascular disease risk factors. We're using it for the wrong thing. We're using it for something that it just does not do. Okay? Now, a second study that's always noteworthy to talk about is marathon runners, women that sign up for their first ever marathon. I mean, I think running a marathon is like a bucket list activity, but in the back of everyone's head, they think, well, geez, I'll use this marathon as a way to also get in shape and lose a little bit of weight in the process. Well, the average woman, from the time that she signs up for a marathon to the day that she actually toes the starting line of the marathon, she's gained between 2 and 3 pounds. And it's not 2 and 3 pounds of muscle, it's 2 and 3 pounds of fat. Despite the fact that she expended not thousands, but tens of thousands of calories over the course of 16 weeks or 18 weeks of training. We just do not see people that do more cardiovascular exercise. We do not see weight loss or fat loss. Now, I'm telling you, the vast majority of people, like I said, that are engaged in cardio are doing it because they think it's helping them lose weight or improve body composition. Now, I should state that in Discover Strength's Body Comp Challenge, we do have a cardio component. You do 4 cardio sessions once a week, 30 minutes in duration. And the whole concept there is, we know people are into cardio. If you're going to do cardio, we want you to do it as intelligently as possible to maximize the cardiovascular benefit that you get. So we want the program to be a well-rounded program in improving your health and your fitness. It just so happens that improving your body composition comes down to your strength training workouts, strength training to muscle failure, covering all the major muscle groups, and strength training twice per week. We know that twice per week always produces better results in terms of body composition than once per week. Okay, there's just no way around it. That's number one. And number two is reducing our overall caloric intake. Now, we are in a society, we're in a culture right now, a fitness culture, where we're obsessed with clean eating. All right, well, there is no research to say that eating clean improves your body composition. It's simply eating less calories. Now, there's a number of ways we can go about doing that. One of the ways we would recommend maximizing your overall protein intake is that protein creates a level of satiety that eating carbohydrates or consuming fats does not consume or does not create. So having a little bit more protein will make you feel a little bit more full, which may lead to an overall decreased caloric intake, so less calories as a whole. Now, the macronutrient by itself is not magical. Hey, we're in a society where everyone's afraid of carbohydrate. Did you know that there's never been a research study, there's never been a controlled feeding study of humans that take groups of humans where they eat the same number of calories, one group eats high carb, one group eats low carb, there is absolutely no difference in their weight loss or fat loss. We've never seen a positive impact on body composition by reducing our carbohydrate intake. We do not need to be scared of carbohydrates. Now, when people say, well, hold on now, I eliminated carbs from my diet, or I stopped drinking soda, for example, or I cut out sugar and I lost weight. You didn't lose weight because you cut out carbs. You lost weight because you consumed less calories. Now, I'm telling you, there's a million different ways that we can go about consuming less calories. And I'm not here to tell you there's a perfect way to do it. Whether it's a high protein diet, a more moderate protein diet, a high carb, low carb, moderate carb, zone, Atkins, South Beach, fill in the blank. But if you lose weight because you've changed your eating, it is always without exception because you've reduced your overall caloric intake. So much new research has been published on that, literally just in the last 1 to 2 months. A new position statement from the International Society of Sport Nutrition saying the same thing. We can try intermittent fasting. We can use high protein, moderate protein, high carb, low carb, and the results are essentially the same as long as we are consuming enough protein to maximize our lean muscle tissue. And that number, that amount, is 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. There is no benefit, zero benefit, in going above 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. So you can consume more protein than that if you want to, but it will not contribute to adding or maintaining lean muscle tissue. So 0.7 is probably that upper limit. Now, in the old days, we used to tell people, if you consume more protein than that, it's going to be dangerous for, from a kidney standpoint, your kidney function, and that's just not true. So you can go higher than that, just don't expect it to lead to increases in lean muscle tissue in any way. Hannah, do we have another question?
The other question was really related to what our staff really likes to indulge in as far as protein snacks, and I think Brandon's really falls under the indulge.
Absolutely.
But I do have a question about where the trends really come from. So when talking about cardio and why do people think that doing cardio is going to burn more calories? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so that's interesting. Right now, I would say it's very much perpetuated by the health club industry. And my goodness, I love the health club industry. But when we walk into a health club, we are marketed to, and it's communicated to us, that I should take this kickboxing class. I should take this spin class. I should do this high-intensity interval training on a treadmill because it's going to help me expend more calories and lose more weight. And we've just never seen that in the research. Interestingly enough, Hannah, the idea of expending calories via cardio and losing weight via cardio is not controversial in the academic community. Like, we just know it doesn't happen. However, in the way people actually work out, in the health club community, it is controversial. I mean, we are all talking about doing more cardio as a way to lose weight or lose fat, when in fact cardio is important. Just important for cardiovascular function. And I don't expect, to be honest, I don't expect the health club community as a whole to really lead the charge with that messaging, and I don't blame them for not wanting to lead with that, hey, did you know? We've never really seen people do cardio and lose weight or lose fat. Is cardio a part of your well-rounded health and fitness program? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Is it the key to weight loss or fat loss? Absolutely not, according to the preponderance of literature on the topic.
Great, thank you. So we do have a question from Wayne Thacker, and he asks, what do you say to the high-fat/low carb community who claims that your body can go into a fat inferno by eating this way?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and the mechanism makes so much sense. Is it Wayne?
Yeah.
So Wayne, the mechanism makes so much sense. This is one of the classic examples when we look at the physiology, we say, wow, this could actually work based on the mechanism. So when you look at the mechanism and understand the mechanism, you always have to next do the actual clinical trials. So you do research trials and find out, all right, does this mechanism play out when we have 20, 50, 100 subjects and we control the feeding for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks? And as much as that mechanism is exciting and seems like it would be plausible, we've just never seen it play out in the actual research studies. And believe me, mechanisms are where most of our hypotheses come from. In everything in medicine, we have to understand the mechanism first. We say, okay, this is part of this cellular pathway. Let's pull out this pathway of how we create ATP. Let's understand it. All right. Now, based on that, could we somehow supplement part of that pathway to change the response that we see from exercise? I'm giving a broad example. And in this case, we've just never seen that in the actual human trials. Great question.
So you speak a lot about lowering your caloric intake for fat loss, and how do you know how many calories to eat? What is like a general recommendation, or how do you figure that out?
Great question. So for us, one place to start is a BOD-POD test. So we have people do a BOD-POD test because it will tell somebody how much lean tissue they have in their body. It's not just muscle, but it's the weight of their organs and their bones. Lean tissue, so tissue that's not fat. And then based on that, we can really have a pretty good prediction of how many calories they need to support their normal, what we would call basal metabolic rates. They're just normal resting metabolic rate. And that gives us a pretty good ballpark. But if you're not going to do a BOD-POD test, by all means, you can just pick a number, track that number over time, and just see, am I gaining weight or am I losing weight? Now, many people really target a caloric intake that's too low. They say, I'm going to consume 1,500 calories. And they consume 1,500 calories over a period of time, 2-3 days, and it creates so much physiological hunger that the next day they consume 25 or 28 or 3,000 calories, which is very easy to do. So really over the course of 4 days or 7 days, their mean caloric intake is closer to 2,200 calories. They walk around thinking they're consuming 1,500 calories. In the classic Minnesota semi-starvation study conducted toward the end of World War II, researchers systematically starved conscientious objectors to the war because they needed to understand what would the refueling process look like when people came out of POW camps in Germany and Japan, and what's the best way to refuel or refeed these people. And so they needed a population of starved people. And people are always shocked when they find out the number of calories that they use to starve these conscientious objectors, mainly young men. They started at 1,800 calories and they dropped never lower than 1,500 calories a day. Now, I don't know about you, but darn near everybody I know that says they're controlling their caloric intake claims to be eating 1,500 calories a day. And my answer is always, no, you're not. And they say, yes, I am. And I say, well, if you were consuming 1,500 calories a day, you'd look like a walking skeleton over time, because that is literally what happened to the people in the Minnesota semi-starvation study. They lost tremendous amounts of body fat, and a whole host of other negative things happened. They were actually starving. So 1,500 calories a day should not be our goal, because it will stimulate real hunger, and it will cause us to rebound in the number of calories that we actually consume.
So when we talk about body composition percentage, what does that look like for a healthy individual? What's a recommended body composition percentage? And also, like, realistically, with good results, what does that look like too? What is an expected change in good results?
Yeah, great question. So a guy walking around that's 40 years old, if he's 20% or under, my goodness, that's awesome. Now, when I say 20% or under, I mean 20% or under in a BOD-POD, okay, which is a really accurate way of measuring. Don't trust a skin fold caliper, because with a skin fold caliper, everyone's under 20%. I mean, I can pinch you in a way with a skin fold caliper to make sure that you're under 20%, and that's not desirable and it's not accurate. So if you're a male and you're under 20%, man, you're kicking butt. If you're under 15%, you are really, really lean. Elite level athletes, depending on the sport, of course, will be below 10%. 8% and 6% is not uncommon. But man, most of the world is walking around over 20% for males. Now, as a female, if you are under 25%, my goodness, you are really, really, really lean, okay? 20% is a whole nother level of leanness for females. Very rarely do we see a female that's under 15% body fat percentage. And a lot of times people would say, well, is that dangerous to go under 15% as a female? And the answer is no, as long as they're achieving that level of body fat percentage or body composition in a healthy way. Now, more so than focusing on one number, Hannah, I would always just say, understand the number that you're currently at, and focus just on improving from that number, because we all look different at different numbers. I can line up 7 males in front of you that are all 20% body fat, and they all look very different because we all store our fat in different ways. I mean, one guy at 20% can look lean and pretty darn muscular, while another guy is the exact same body fat percentage. He's 20% and he looks like he's overweight or even obese. And so don't focus on just one magical number. Focus instead on, this is where I'm at currently. I'm at 22%, I'm at 13%, and I just want to lose 1%. I want to lose 2%, and then assess from there. So like so many things, the goal is progress. The goal is not just one number. Because you may say, hey, my goal is 20%. You get to 20%, you say, well, my goodness, I don't have visible abs that I so desire at 20%, where somebody else at 20% will have those visible abs.
Cool, great. Well, thank you for all your questions, and if you would like to leave any questions below for our next episode, go ahead and leave them below, and we'll get to them next time. Thank you, Luke.
Hey, thank you.